Have you ever wondered if a deep love, a beautiful memory from the past can live on, despite time and distance? For Sophia and Leo, the answer is a heartfelt one. It is a story of loyalty, of connection that transcends all barriers, and of the power of love, not just for humans, but for the creatures with whom we share this planet. Sophia's steps on the Sereno Savannah are not just a journey back to a place she once called home, but a journey back to her own heart. It is where she once found meaning in life, where a young lion taught her what it means to be brave and love unconditionally. And now, as she stands before Leo, not just as an old lion, but as a friend who will never leave, Sophia realizes that there are bonds that time cannot break, but can only deepen. We tell this story not only to touch your heart, but also to remind you that love, whether it is for people, nature, or a memory from the past, is always a guiding light in the darkest of times. And you, where did you find this story? From a random click or a friend sharing? Leave your feelings in the comments below. And if this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because tomorrow we will tell you a special story, a story that can change the way you look at life. Are you ready? Sofia Alvarez, 62, stood on the deck of a dusty truck, eyes closed, breathing in the prairie air rich with the scent of burnt grass and dry earth. The wind blew through her hair, whispering a greeting from a land she had not seen for 40 years. Familiar sounds, birds chirping, the rustle of reeds, and the distant roar of a lion awakened memories she had thought were buried forever. More than 4 decades ago, Sophia was a young dreamer who left her bustling life in Spain to pursue her dream of protecting wildlife at the Sereno Savannah Reserve. It was there that she met Leo, a lion cub, orphaned and shivering in the corner of its cage after a brutal poaching attack. Sophia took the little lion in her arms, and at that moment, a wordless bond was formed. Leo was more than just an animal in need of protection. It was Sophia's friend, a part of her heart, the one who helped her find purpose in the wilderness. But life has a way of taking people away from where they once belonged. Career, family, and responsibilities forced Sophia to leave Savannah Sereno, away from Leo as he grew up and prepared to be released back into the wild. She wondered many times if Leo would survive, if he would remember her, or if the bond between them had been erased by time. Now, with the news that an old lion with eyes as calm as Leo's had returned to the sanctuary, Sophia felt her heart awaken. The yearning to find her old friend, no, a part of her soul, was stronger than ever. Every roll of the dusty road brought her closer to familiar ground, closer to the answer she had waited for all her life. "Leo," she whispered into the wind, her voice trembling but hopeful. "If it were you, we would have found each other." Sophia stepped out of the car, her legs shaking with emotion as she touched the ground of Savannah Sereno. The golden afternoon sun tinged the vast grasslands, and before she stood the main gate of the reserve, which had been her home and the place where she had spent the best years of her life, Lucas, the young ranger, greeted Sophia with a warm smile, his eyes sparkling with reverence. "My mother told me a lot about you, Sophia," he said, "the woman who saved a lion's world." Lucas led her through the old trails where Sophia had walked with Leo, when he was a short-legged, curious cub. No trace of time could obscure the memories etched deep in her mind. In the vast grassland, Lucas pointed to the distance, where a pride of lions rested under a tree. "I think you should see that big one," he said, his voice low, as if afraid to ruin the moment. "We call him Raja, but his eyes are just like my mother used to describe Leo." Sophia raised the binoculars, trying to keep her hands from shaking. In her line of sight, she saw a majestic male lion, with a mane that had faded with age. His quiet demeanor was unmistakable. Leo. Sophia clenched her hands around the binoculars, unable to stop the tears from welling up. She couldn't believe what she was seeing, but deep down, she knew. It was Leo. She stepped closer, each step like a prayer. Lucas kept his distance so she could be free with her emotions. When Sophia was only a few dozen meters away, Leo raised his head. His aged eyes met hers, and in that moment, time seemed to stop. Some distant memory seemed to come alive in the old lion's mind. "Leo," Sophia whispered, her voice trembling but urgent. The lion rose, towering its majestic stature, but its gaze remained fixed on the woman before it. Sophia slowly sat down, her arms outstretched, like a familiar sign from the past. A low growl came from Leo, a deep sound she had heard 1,000 times before. Then, as if driven by an invisible force, Leo advanced toward Sophia, each step slow but sure. The grass rustled beneath his feet in unison with Sophia's heartbeat. When he was only a few steps away, Leo stopped, his head bowed, his silver mane glistening in the evening light. Sophia could not help but reach out, her fingertips brushing against his rough fur. For a sacred moment, she felt Leo's breath, warm, strong, and familiar as her soul. "You remember me, don't you, Leo?" Sophia whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. The lion did not respond with words, but its gesture said it all. It bowed its head deeper, its mane touching her hand, as if to confirm that the bond between them had never been broken. From a distance, Lucas stood still, holding his breath at the sight. A small woman and a giant lion, 4 decades apart, now standing together, in perfect harmony between man and nature. It was not just a reunion of Sophia and Leo. It was a powerful reminder that love, no matter the distance and time, always finds its way back. Leo stood silently before Sophia, his deep eyes boring into her soul, as if searching for a forgotten piece of a distant memory. Sophia knelt, her trembling hand touching Leo's worn fur. The feeling was strangely familiar, as if 40 years had passed in the blink of an eye. But she knew that memories don't just awaken from emotions. They need to be awakened by pieces of the past. Sophia slowly rummaged through her faded backpack, where she had kept the mementos she had brought with her throughout the journey. She took out an old leather necklace, which had been Leo's constant companion since he was a cub. The necklace had been woven by Sophia herself from bark and beads in the early days of her care. A simple gift, but filled with love. When Sophia held up the necklace, Leo's eyes seemed to flash a little. Its ears twitched, its large tail flicking back and forth, as if memories were starting to return. "You remember this, don't you, Leo?" Sophia said, her voice soft, but filled with anticipation. Leo inhaled deeply, its large nose brushing the ring, and then a low growl rose from its throat. A familiar sound Sophia had heard when Leo was happy, but she knew. The memento wasn't enough. Sophia opened her bag and took out a small, hand-carved flute, another keepsake from her youth. This flute had been the sound that had calmed Leo when he was scared in the dark. She put the flute to her lips, blowing a simple melody that was filled with memories. The clear sound rang out, soaring high in the quiet grassland, mingling with the wind and the golden sunlight. Leo immediately straightened up, his eyes never leaving Sophia. Another low growl sounded, and then Leo stepped closer. Its movements became slow, gentle, as if it were trying to recall something from the depths of its mind. Sophia continued to play the flute, each note seeming to draw the invisible strings between her and Leo closer, stronger. After a few minutes, Sophia stopped, but the echoes of the melody still lingered in the air. Leo lowered his head, and for the first time, he gently brushed his huge mane against her shoulder, a gesture Sophia could never forget. It was the way Leo used to comfort her whenever she felt lonely or exhausted. Sophia burst into tears, tears streaming down her face, not from pain, but from an indescribable happiness. Leo remembered. The air around her seemed to quiet down. Only the sound of the wind and the pounding of Sophia's heart. She looked deep into Leo's eyes, seeing not just a majestic adult lion, but also the cub that had curled up in her arms, seeking comfort and love. "Leo, you've come back to me," Sophia whispered, her hand stroking his dark silver mane. "The years haven't changed that. We're still friends, no matter how much time has passed." Leo made a deep growl, as if to answer her. But then the most surprising thing happened. He stepped back a little, his big paws digging in the ground, as if he wanted to play some kind of game. Sophia recognized him immediately. It was a habit Leo used to do when they played hide and seek in the reserve. She smiled, her heart pounding. Sophia stepped back towards a large acacia tree nearby, hiding behind its trunk, just as she had done when Leo was a cub. Leo stood still for a moment, his head high, his ears pricked, as if listening. Then, slowly but surely, he moved toward the acacia tree, his nose sniffing the air. As Sophia stepped out, Leo took a small step toward her, his mane ruffling in the afternoon sun, as if he were laughing. Sophia laughed, and the sound echoed across the field, joining Leo's roar, the happiest sound she had heard in 40 years. Lucas stood at a distance, transfixed by the sight. He had never seen a grown lion behave like this, much less witness such a strong connection between man and animal. She didn't just find a lion, Lucas thought. She found a part of herself. Sophia turned to Leo, her heart filled with gratitude. "You didn't forget, Leo, and I never did." They stood there, in the middle of the vast nature, like two friends who had crossed time and space to find each other again. In the peaceful moment between Sophia and Leo, a fierce roar suddenly rang out, shattering the silence of the savannah. From a distance, a young, strong male lion with an arrogant gait approached. He was the emerging ruler of the area, and the presence of Leo, an old lion, was a threat to his position. Sophia sensed the immediate change in Leo's demeanor. From being gentle with her, he shifted to a defensive stance, standing up straight, his ears flattened and emitting deep roars, warning his opponent not to come near. Sophia backed away nervously, her heart tightening as she saw Leo, her old friend, now ready to face danger to protect her. The young lion stepped closer, refusing to back down. A clash seemed inevitable, but Leo, with the temperament and experience of a warrior who had endured many harsh seasons, stepped forward to block Sophia. It didn't need to use force, just a resounding roar and a majestic look that made its opponent hesitate. Leo's majesty was still there, even though time had carved its body. The young lion finally backed away, letting out a disgruntled roar before turning and walking away. Leo slowly turned, his eyes softening as he looked at Sophia. He walked up to her, bowing his head, his mane brushing against her hand as a reassurance. Sophia choked up, tears streaming down her face, clearly feeling that Leo was more than just an old friend. He was a protector, the embodiment of unwavering loyalty and love. In the afternoon sunlight, Sophia and Leo stood side by side in the middle of a vast grassland, like two souls who had found each other after a lifetime of being lost. The world seemed to stop, leaving only them, a story of trust, memory, and protection that transcended all boundaries. The story of Sophia and Leo is not only a touching journey of reunion, but also a subtle reminder of the power of love, loyalty, and timeless connections. We often think that memories may fade, but true love never disappears. It lives on in gentle gestures, in seemingly small moments that are forever etched in the heart. This story is an invitation for us to stop and look at the important connections in our lives, with family, friends, or even nature, to love and cherish them before time takes that opportunity away. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to this story. We hope it touches your heart and brings a little warmth to your day. If you find this story memorable, please click like to spread this meaningful message. Share so that the story can inspire more people. And don't forget to leave a comment about what touched you the most, or a positive quote related to love and connection. We believe that every story has the power to transform a life. Let's spread it together.